Hello and welcome to the Longines Global Champions Tour here in Cascais, Estoril. Here in Portugal, I'm delighted to say, joined by John and Michael Whitaker, two legends of the sport, but two brothers as well, which is great to say as well. Michael, firstly, coming to you as a setting for sport, this is first class.
Yeah, it is. It's great. The ground, it's really good ground. You know, the facilities are fantastic. The ring, the collector ring, the stable, it's all top class.
And John, from you, you've competed at shows all around the world. This has to rate up there as one of the very best.
Yeah, it's just look at the scenery behind us. It's unbelievable. It's a little bit too warm for us Yorkshiremen, though. That's the problem.
The two of you have been at the top of the sport for quite some time now, and from the two of you competing together, we go back to the Olympics in 1984, and the two of you with an Olympic silver there. What was it like as young guys then to compete together on an Olympic team, Michael?
Yeah, it was fantastic. You know, like we're obviously a fair bit younger then, and you know, not as experienced, but it was very handy for me to have John on the team. And, it was brilliant. You know, we weren't really expected to win anything either, so you know that was a bonus.
And for the two of you, John, I mean, that was a real turning point of your career and both of you's career.
Yeah, I think it was good for us to get the chance to do Los Angeles in '84, and to get a silver, it kind of put us on the map, and we've kind of never looked back since. Really, it's been good.
Well, you've certainly never looked back since, looking at the record of the two of you. Michael, from your record, Overton and Amanda there, you've had some wonderful horses through your career. Monsanto, I've been looking through some of those, and many others as well.
Yeah, I have. I've been very lucky. You know, I just seem to fall into them. You know, and like you say, I've had some really good ones, and I think I've got some good ones right now. You know, so hopefully.
I was going to mention two of those. Am I in there with the ride of that? Of course, Aachen Grand Prix winner as well. Viking we've seen win in Madrid, and of course European Championships. And we've been watching some of the younger ones coming through as well.
Yeah, I think the grey mare I've got here, Ellie, she's very promising, and a couple of stallions. You know, I've got three grey stallions actually that all look exactly the same. It's a bit confusing.
They certainly all go very well. John, going back to you, Ryan's son back in 1984, that was the horse that launched you to stardom.
Yeah, I was so lucky to get Ryan's son when I think I was 17, and he was 5-year-old when we met each other. And I rode him for 13 seasons, and it was unbelievable to get a horse like Ryan's son in the beginning. But my next good horse was Milton, and it followed straight in after Ryan's son. You couldn't have written anything any better.
Absolutely, you talk about falling into horses there, Michael. But I'm going to take it from Michael's point of view. Finding Ryan's son though was very much a family thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. We were just at a local show, and I was very young at the time. I think I was about 12. And my dad just sort of saw this horse, and he didn't even see it jump actually. He said, I like that horse, I think I'm going to buy it.
And John, a little bit of luck in there from that point of view, but actually we looked through all of the Whitaker family tree with the two of you here, but I mean, I've lost count of how many top riders we've got with the Whitaker name now. Going back to your parents, that's where it all came from, but they weren't that horsey, were they?
They were kind of. My father was he said he could ride, but he couldn't actually ride.
Not in the same way as you.
But he was a good horseman. He worked with horses all his life, and farm horses. And to be honest, he always used to be able to solve a problem. If we had a problem with him, he could solve it.
Did you feel that was a natural talent coming through? And of course, your mother's very much involvement as well.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. It's because it is unusual that we've got all the kids. You know, my three kids, Stephen's, Ian's, Michael's, Jackie's unbelievably keen. We haven't actually forced them to do it, but we've encouraged them. But it's amazing that they're all so keen.
Well, they're doing fantastically well. Going back to what we were talking about there, Ryan's son, and then as you say, the next horse for you was Milton, which was a true world superstar, the world's first millionaire in terms of horses. Did you ever think that horse would do what it did?
No, I mean, he looked a special horse when Caroline Bradley rode him as a 4 and 5-year-old. He did look a special horse, and but at that age, there's a long way to go, and you never really know. But I must say that the second I rode him, the first jump I jumped on him, I knew he was something special.
And from your point of view, he really rocketed you to stardom in terms of 2 World Cup wins, a host of Grand Prix wins, European Championships. What was it like to be riding the wave at that time when you were really sort of late 80s, early 90s at the horse at the top of its tree?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Okay, you had a little bit of pressure because he was so good. You were expected to do well every time, but he did do well every time. He was such a good horse, and he just wanted to do the job. You know, he was like a well-trained dog. You know, he was asking you what to do all the time. You know, what do you want me to do next? What do you want me to do next? And that's how he was. You know, it was unbelievable to ride.
And from your point of view, we've talked about it before in terms of Olympic Games. You and Milton didn't go to Seoul, went so close in Barcelona. Was that a disappointment for you?
Yeah, it was. Okay, he was probably a little bit past his best, but I think he was still capable of getting a medal. You know, it just kind of went wrong. The trip in the second round, but actually the rough sand was rubbing his fetlocks, and we didn't realise till after the competition that all his fetlocks were sore because he used to go really down on the rough sand, and so that wasn't helping him. But anyway, I don't like to make excuses. It went wrong. You know, it was disappointing, but we kind of look back and, you know, the problem is you always get disappointments in this sport. It's the nature of the sport, so you learn to live with them, and I think it makes you, well, it either kills or cures you. It either makes you stronger and ride better, or you don't. You know, so you've got no choice. You have to keep going and keep trying. And I think disappointments make me work harder, really. You know.
Well, the two of you work very, very hard in the sport. Michael, what's the driver that makes you get up every morning and still ride?
I can't do anything else. That's the biggest problem.
But from your point of view, the horses you've had, I mean, going along at the same time as John with Milton and so forth, but I mentioned Monsanto, but that was just one of several, wasn't it, that really shot you to stardom too?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I had Monsanto at the same time as John and Milton, but he probably didn't have Milton's scope, but it was, you know, whatever he could jump, he did, you know. He was very careful and tried. So, yeah, and I think a couple of championships, I think 2 of the big championships, he was the only double clear twice. So, yeah, it was super horse.
And between you, 5 Olympics across this side, 4 Olympics across that side, and we've lost count of how many Nations Cups the two of you have represented on. How much pride does it give you every time to ride out there for Great Britain, Mick?
Yeah, it's great. That's what it's all about. You know, that's why we're in it. That's what everybody wants to do. You know.
And Aachen Grand Prix a couple of years ago now, and also recent times Madrid Grand Prix last year, the likes of Viking, Anamai. What are the horses for the future? What would you like to really be producing?
Yeah, I think you're always looking for the superstar. You know, the one that can go out and win Aachen Grand Prix and things like that. And I think, you know, touch wood, hopefully I've got a couple of younger ones that I think have a chance.
And John mentioned your kids in there, Molly and Jack as well. I mean, they are as keen as ever.
Yeah, they are. Jack's, you know, I must say the girls are not as keen as Jack, but he's you know, he takes a bit of holding back.
And from your point of view, I mean, you've had very loyal owners. We've met Beatrice Mertens on several occasions. She was with us in Paris last week, but she's been with you for over 20 years. What do you think the key is to that?
I think we just get on well. You know, she rode herself at the top level, and she understands the sport, which makes it a lot easier. And we just seem to get on well, and that's the main thing.
Well, it's certainly been a very good partnership. John, from your point of view, horses as well, everything's been at the centre of your life in terms of horses, but I mean, it brought you together with your wife, your whole family, how it all came together from that point of view. How did you meet Claire, by the way?
Through an advert in the Yorkshire Post. It's true. No, actually, it is true. We put an advert in the Yorkshire Post to sell a pony. We were selling a pony, so we advertised it in the Yorkshire Post, and Claire's father answered the advert. It was actually for Claire's sister, Janine, but and they bought the pony, and that's how we actually met.
And you met the other sister, which was great from that point of view. But Claire to you and all your family through your career? I mean, Claire has been as solid as a rock as the person behind the management, a lot with you from that point of view.
Yes, I mean, she started off as my groom in the early days. She used to do all the grooming, and now she does all the administration, and she's actually these days very involved in the international ponies and the young riders. She's really involved in that, organising and selecting. So she's really into the sport, yeah.
But from the point of view of through all of your career, it makes a huge difference having someone there that will pick up that for you and really lets you get on and ride.
Well, yeah, it's there is a lot of administration and organising, and booking flights, getting the horses at the right shows at the right time with the right paperwork, with the passports, with the passports all in order, because that's a bit of a nightmare these days, getting everything up to date. So there is a lot of work, yeah, and Claire's had experience, and she does it automatically these days.
And from your point of view, competing alongside your son Robert now, you've competed on Nations Cup teams together. How does that work in terms of you've got to concentrate on what you're doing and helping him, and how it works? Very similar to the two of you brothers competing on a team?
I think it's similar, really, yes. I kind of try and leave it to him as much as I can. I'm there if he needs advice, or if I see something that he needs. I think I should tell him I do, but in general we try and let him look after himself, and he's doing a pretty good job. He's doing well.
He's certainly doing a very good job from that point of view. Michael, going forward, I mean, you guys have been at the top of the tree for a while now, and long may it continue, but who've been the riders that you've really looked up to? We've heard from so many riders. You guys are the rider's rider from that point of view, the style that you've had, that natural style. Who've been the guys that have really shone for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, recently I would say people like Lugger, the Germans in general, Lugger, Markussen and Christian Allman. They seem to be able to keep finding the horses and keep producing the results, and I think that's what you watch, in the old days, like Harvey Smith, David Broom, Hugo, all the Gerd Wolfgang, all them riders.
And John, from your point of view, I mean, you guys are very naturally talented riders, but do you look at other riders, and have you looked over the riders' year and adapted a few things?
Definitely. I think you tend to always watch the ones that win anyway, and the ones that do it naturally, because the natural ones are doing things that they don't realise they're doing themselves, So I think those are people like Marcus Henning, Michael mentioned. I think Marcus is just really natural. He's got a feeling for the horse, and those are the people like Scott Brash. Actually, is unbelievable. He's very similar. He probably doesn't know what he's doing himself, but he does it. He's just got that feeling to get the best out of the horse.
And you look at the British squads and the British success of recent times. You mentioned Scott in there, Ben, of course, and Nick Skelton, who's been a teammate of yours on many occasions. It must be a real boost for the British at the moment to be so strong with riders and horses.
Yeah, it's not for me at the moment because I'm struggling. I'm behind them all. But no, it is. It's good to see British showjumping at the top, and to win the Olympic medal in London was unbelievable. And I think we've always believed that we were good enough to win an Olympic medal. The team, the country, the riders, and I think we always thought it was a matter of not how but when. Yeah. And it came. It was unbelievable. It came at the right time at London.
And it's great to see. I mean, you've been both up there in terms of world number one and top five and all of those for many occasions. And good to see the British riders still up there. And you guys have certainly given them a run for their money without any trouble at all from that point of view. Michael, the sport though, you had much success very early on in terms of you were one of the youngest people to win the Hickstead Derby. Is it interesting looking at the sport now? I mean, we've seen a number of teenagers coming through, Constant Van Pasch and Jos Verlooy, those coming in their late teens. They still can come through at this age, but we've seen a number of riders not really peaking until their late 20s.
Yeah, that's right. I think you have to have the talent. They've got the talent, but then I think you need experience as well. You need to know when to try and win and when not to try and win. I think just things like how to react in jump offs and And I think that's, you know, that's only experience. It comes with experience, you know.
And how much has the sport changed? I mean, from you guys, I mean, late 70s, early 80s, you've been at the top of the tree since then. Materials changed, shows have changed. What have been the big changes for you that have made the biggest difference?
Yeah, I think the standard is so high now. You know, if you'd have built these courses, say 20 years ago, I think people would have laughed. You know, that like 160 verticals with 3 poles in it and things like that. You know, in our day, early on, there'd be 16 poles in it. You know, and I think the standard of horses is just unbelievable. You know, the amount of good horses there are around now. It's, you know, the standard's so high. You know, it's astonishing.
But that's required an adaptation from you. I mean, we've mentioned Nick Skelton in there. He's been at the top level as well since then. It's been a change in terms of the horses and all of the things like that. And have you adapted your own style in there as well?
I think we have, yeah. I think we probably did it a little bit, you know, not really thinking about it. It's just, you know, as the sport's changed, we've probably changed, you know, and the horses have changed a little bit. But it's happened while, you know, the change gone on while we've been there. So I think we've just changed with the sport, to be honest.
Well, you've done an amazing job. John, from your point of view, horses as well, the management of horses, you've both been noted for it, but you yourself have won Grand Prix, World Cups, derbies with horses of 19, 20, 21. What's been the secret of that management?
I don't think there's any particular one thing that we do that I've done. Just in general, try to look after them. I mean, that is the biggest problem. It always has been, finding a really top horse. So in my opinion, when you do find one, you have to try and look after it and make it last a long time. Like these days, there's so many shows and so much money, it's so tempting to, you know, go from show to show to show if you have a really top horse, because there's so much money to win. But realistically, you know, they're not machines, and you're only going to get out of them if you look after them. You know, they're only going to perform at the best if you look after them. And try and save them for the right classes they can win. Not overjump them, give them the nicest life that possible. You know, like to put them in the field and look after them and try and make it as natural as possible. Just a lot of things, you know, just to give them a good life and make them last. Well,
they've all given back to you, and the same for you, from Michael, from your point of view. You've been through several decades at the top of the sport. Which did you think was the best, Michael?
About 2 years ago in Aachen was very good. About 30 years ago in Los Angeles was not bad. And a few in between.
And John, from your point of view, I'm guessing the Milton days, but all the way through, such consistency.
Yeah, I mean, it's all been good, because to get Ryan's son in the beginning was kind of changed our lives, not just mine, but everybody's really. And then like we said, to get Milton straight after, you know, those were unbelievable times, because you know, he just won all the big things, you know, the World Cups and the European Championships and Grand Prix, one after another, and I mean, those were unbelievable days. But then, you know, it's been good all along. After Milton, I got Granouche and Wellham, and which they're also really top horses. So it's just now I'm struggling a bit, actually. You know?
But John, do you consider yourself
With
very?
all the money around.
Oh, absolutely. Do you consider yourself very lucky as well? I mean, you were. It goes back a bit now, back to around about 2000. You were taken very, very ill. I mean, seriously ill from that point of view. And did that change your perspective?
I think it just makes you realise how lucky you are to be around and be places like this and see all this and still be competing, because yeah, it was touch and go whether I would wake up again, and so it just makes you think 4 faults is not actually so bad, you know.
Well, we're very glad you did, and we're very glad that you guys have been producing it and keep producing it again and again. It's great to have you with us today. You are 2 legends of the sport, absolutely, in everybody's book. Thank you very, very much for joining us, John, and to Michael.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.